top five day
top
trips.
5 day trips.
Some of them are worth
beaches.
the drive.
But if you don't hear Miami Beach, you don't hear the Keys. You don't.
Because it sucks.
When I first moved here, 2010, moved from Oklahoma, landlocked Oklahoma,
Oklahoma,
where the wind comes sweeping down those plains, baby. And I was convinced I was going to be at the beach every single weekend. Landlocked Oklahoma kid.
Yep.
Lands in Orlando at 24 years old.
We know your kind.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, as it turns out,
Must suck being landlocked.
I don't go to the beach hardly ever,
Shame.
but I love going to the beach. Being in Orlando, it's what, hour and a half
Yep, pending.
from, some longer
Where
trips.
are we at? We're south from here. Yep, hour and a half. Yep.
And
Either way.
I always find myself going, man, I wish I came out here more whenever I do go to the beach.
Next podcast, we can do it at the beach.
We should do it at the beach. You have any fun beach stories?
Yeah, well, before that, my roommate came from Colorado. Never saw that much water before in her life. Went every week and almost died from sun poisoning. She turned purple. I was like, you're not built for this yet. You gotta
Acclimate.
ease it in. Yeah. But when I was in college, like you said, loved the beach. Had the freedom to go to the beach whenever I wanted to as a new adult.
Yep.
Right. And we had this thing where you would go from the East Coast, watch the sunrise, and you drive to the West Coast, watch the sunset. And so me and my buddy, we were like, okay, we're doing it. So we go to New Smyrna. Love New Smyrna Beach, but it's freaking quicksand, bro. And we brought our beers with us. We brought everything. And we were like, you know what? Let's dig ourselves in the sand a little bit. And we're sitting there drinking, having a good time, And these old people walking by like, be careful there. Watch out for that sand. And we're like, we're fine. Sun's rising, blows our mind. We're loving it. Then it starts to get a little hot. It's like, all right, let's hit it to the West Coast. I tell you, the sand was almost at my ball sack. I turned from a 6'3" man to a 4'8" man. And it took me a good little, I had to literally remember how to get out of quicksand in order to get out of the sand. And so we were sitting there laying on the sand trying to get out. And it was hard, man. It was a legit workout. And by the end of it, we're like, we're going home. Screw the sunset. We're just going to go. So just know, if you're at New Smyrna Beach and you start moving around, you see the sand going over your feet, it's cute and all, but don't let it get below your knees, especially up to your ball sack, because it's just not a good time. Not a good time at all.
I was wondering how many episodes it was going to take us
to say ball sack.
Yep,
this many.
However many this many is. 19, 18, something like that. I love it.
Grande.
So we're going to rank our top 5
I like it.
day trip beaches. So you're in Orlando, so probably knocks off knocks off stuff on the panhandle, knocks off stuff South Florida, because those really aren't day trip. I mean, you got to go and stay a day or two if you're gonna go up to Destin, or if you're gonna go down to Miami Beach.
I mean, it's on my top 5. We'll see.
Okay.
I agree. So top 5 day
so top
trips.
5 day trip.
Some of them are
beaches.
worth the drive.
Yep, some of them are worth the drive. Some of these are going to be a little longer than others. But if you don't hear Miami Beach, you don't hear the Keys.
Because it sucks. Bro, last time I was at Miami Beach, I saw at least 5 loose and used Band-Aids and a freaking syringe, bro.
I thought you were going somewhere else with loose and used.
A couple, yeah. No, that's a syringe was the worst. But if you want to say that's the worst, then yeah, we saw that too. I mean, I love the atmosphere and the environment in terms of actual beach, having a good time. Being from here long enough, which you are now, oversaturation of people is not exactly what you're looking for.
Yep.
You want to have a good time at the beach.
All right, so my number 5 day trip beach is New Smyrna, shark bite capital of the world.
Nice.
Had a really good experience there on a bro trip that I went on, I think it was last year. We stopped in New Smyrna. I'd been there once before, which really seems like a cool city. What's your number 5?
Did you get the sand? Did you see that? Did you feel it? Did you get a chance to?
I think it was. I don't think, I'm not remembering anything special about the sand. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you can die. Anyway.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Your story, the ball sack sand. No, I did not experience the ball sack sand.
Yeah, good. My number 5.
I was like, what did I miss about the sand? Okay.
My number 5, Melbourne. Just like New Smyrna, Cocoa, not nearly as populated. Beautiful sand. That's the first place I ever saw a rainbow in the sand during a sunrise. Incredible, and they have a nice seashell collection.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, my number 4 is Cocoa Beach. The reason,
a lot of fun.
You hear a lot of people kind of poo-poo on Cocoa.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the closest beaches.
It is the closest
to
beach.
Orlando.
Yep.
You can go there to watch the rocket launches.
Yep.
Cape Canaveral being right there. I really like that. But really, it's because of that snow cone shop, Oasis. And they have this butter beer. I think they spell it like Budder so that it doesn't ruffle the funny story, the owner of Oasis, I think she's the owner. She was telling me, she was like, I was so worried that they were going to, that Universal was going to find out and they were going to like hammer us for this. So she gets a phone call from Universal one day and she's like, oh, this is it. I got to stop selling, because it's like their top flavor that they sell. It's this butterscotch type thing. It's just like butterbeer at Universal, except better. And she was like, oh, we're going to have to stop selling it. And the call was like, hey, we just keep hearing our employees talk about how awesome your snow cones are. Do you want to come and be one of the vendors at a Universal event?
Wow.
So not only did they not shut her down, they actually brought her in.
Shout out to Oasis at Cocoa. Cocoa has this Hilton right off the A1A that has a tiki bar right next to it, and it's a great date night spot. Like if you want to like, oh, bro, it's beautiful. But my number 4, curveball, Wekiva Island.
I always like your curveballs.
Yeah.
You're always bringing in the spicy takes.
Yeah. Hey man, people need to know about Wekiva Island. It's awesome. You have a cabana section right off the river. It's on the river Wekiva, right? The Wekiva Springs is the beginning, and so you can park in the springs at the resort, but the springs feed into the river, and then if you go down the river, there's the island, and the island has beachside seats, beachside cabanas. It has beach volleyball. It's got a beer and wine bar. It's got a place for events. It's got cornhole. It also has a kayak and canoe spot.
Can you do scuba diving at Wekiva?
You can do a scuba diving at Wekiva. Well, no, you could free dive. You could do scuba. You could scuba if you wanted to. I wouldn't prefer it because they don't have it sectioned off just for scuba. So a lot of people free dive into the caves, which is pretty dope. Can't hold my breath that long, but the island's great because the parking's a lot less than at the springs. There's beer and wine and cider, and you can go upstream, just kayak or canoe your way on upstream to the springs, and then have a nice easy flow downstream back to the island. So many birthday parties have been there. It's just a lot of fun. There are gators. That's why it's number 4. And people have died. The last time I was there, I literally saved somebody's life because
Tell that story,
dude. So it's my buddy's birthday. Alex McCulloch with McCulloch Construction. Shout out to you, homie. And it's like 5 of us. We do exactly that. We start at the island, grab the canoes. I grab a kayak because some of them are new, and I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna do this myself. It's 5. It's odd, so I'm gonna be a kayak. We go up to the springs, hang out, have a good time, dive in the water. As soon as I was about to dive in the water, he saw a Band-Aid float by, and I was like, nope, I'm just gonna stay right here. It's gonna be good. We come back, they leave, and once you buy the wristband for kayak or canoe, you can do it until they close. And so we came back 3 or 4 hours before they closed because they had to go. And I dedicated the whole day to this. So I was like, well, I drove myself, so I'm gonna stay. And one of the other guys stayed with me. His name is Valentine. He's awesome. And we were canoeing downstream this time to go the opposite way. And we're 15, 20 minutes out. And there's this dude just in the water trying to grab on to a fallen tree branch. And I was like, is that a human male? Now we're looking for, there's no kayak, there's no life vest. There's just him. And not one bend before, like half of a bend away from us making visual contact, there's a male crocodile calling out for females to mate. Literally, we kayaked and we were canoeing. We canoed by this little inlet, which was, I'd say 70 yards from where he was 4 times. And every time we rode by, there was a gator sound. And so this dude's trying to get back to the island. And we're like, bro, what are you doing out here? What are you doing out here? Like, I've known people that have died here. What are you just saying? Oh, I'm from Florida. It's like, I'm from Florida. What are you doing out here? And as we're talking to him, another old Florida boy comes in his like Lil John boat, and he stops. He's like, "What are you doing in the water there, boys?" I'm like, "We don't know." It's like, "You know him?" It's like, "No, we just met him." He's like, "Hey, you seen the things I seen out here today? You wouldn't be in that water right there." And I was like, "Can you give him a ride back?" He's like, "Nope, I'm going this way." And then he just we're like, "Okay, thanks." But you heard him. You heard it from me, who doesn't look anything like him, and we agree. We're in agreement. Get out of the water. Yeah. So he got into the boat. We had to maneuver around, get him onto the boat. And as we're coming back, we're like, "What exactly were you thinking?" It's like, "Oh, well, I just want to go downstream a little bit, get away." But then the current got me, and I got a little too farther than I wanted to. And I was like, "Man, you could have died." It's like, "Yeah, but I'm from Florida. I'm a Florida boy. We do those things." It's like, bro, I've been here my entire life. I haven't not done that one time.
You saved the world from another Florida man headline.
Dude, it would have been bad because he was. Florida man headline. I mean, I'm talking about death's door was 10 trees up. Yeah. So right. Kaiva Island is great, but like don't swim too far from where everybody else is.
All right, my number 3. Anna Maria Island. We did a double date weekend. My wife and I went with Kenny and Katie. Shout out to Kenny and Katie. We took a trip there a couple years ago. Super fun. It's
incredible, isn't it?
We brought down Kenny's golf cart. So golf cart around the city.
Yes. Did you golf cart to the actual island?
I think we drove.
Causeway?
Did we golf cart? No, we did golf cart out there. I think we did golf cart. It was a combo of his truck and golf cart, so my memory is hazy.
Yeah,
but
it's magical like that.
Oh man, yeah. We didn't stay right on the water. We stayed like across the street from the water. Matter. So
you saw the sunset though, didn't you?
It was beautiful. Wow. Beautiful,
absolutely beautiful.
Vibe of that city is super cool. What's your number 3?
Man, that was gonna be my number 3. Was Anna Maria Island. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm switching up. Anna Maria Island is absolutely incredible. Got to do it. But my number 3, Tarpon Springs.
Tarpon Springs.
So when you're on Clearwater, or when you're hitting St. Pete, right before you hit St. Pete, you go north. They call it Little Greek Town, and it's just obvious. Honestly, we did it because we found a hotel for like $50 a night, and they provided bicycles and canoes and beach toys and all this stuff for free. And you could actually bike to their island that they have, and it was like Anna Maria Island, but in this little Greek town that not a lot of people know about, so it's less populated, which I also love since I'm saturated with tourists every single day of my life. And let me tell you that their gyros are, I love lamb, and they know how to do it, man. You should check it out one day. Tarpon Springs, it's dope.
Tarpon Springs, get the lamb.
Get the lamb and go to the beach. Watch the sunset just like you would on the West Coast. Got to do it.
I'm into it. All right, my number 2.
St.
Augustine. The vibes of St. Augustine,
it's
man.
Awesome.
That what is it?
The coquina, the fort.
The fort. The fort
built
is just
coquina.
So. What is coquina?
It's one of the oldest. Oh, dude! It's one of the it's one of the strongest, oldest, most durable forms of construction known to man.
You're so much smarter than me. I just thought it was a super cool look.
It's basically limestone. They use crushed seashells as concrete base, and it creates its own limestone. And as it's weathered, it gets stronger, which is why the fort hasn't changed. I mean, it gets, the
As
edges.
it's weathered, it gets stronger. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Concrete does that as well, but not nearly as much. When you do it with coquina, and the texture's really cool too. It's actually kind of dangerous if you don't gloss it over, but when I tell you,
Isn't
it's
it
so
the
cool.
oldest city in Florida?
Yeah, yeah.
It has that feel.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's the oldest city in Florida.
It is.
The brick roads. I mean, it just has such a cool vibe.
Great shopping. Great shopping. A lot of food.
What's that? I have a shirt from there. It's like chicken and waffles. Oh, I'm blanking on. It's a baby blue shirt, but there's a chicken and waffles spot there that is.
There's an Irish spot there that's really nice too. You know what? You go there, check
they
it
had
out.
some queso there too.
Oh.
There was a Mexican spot with some queso there that was phenomenal.
There was like a Colombian spot there that we went to. It was like, I don't know, Colombian or Old Spanish.
What's the university there?
Oh,
in San
Flagler.
Augustine? Flagler.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful
Gorgeous campus. It's open too. You can just walk around in it. And it's great. If you have dogs and you like taking them on the adventures with you, going to St. Augustine Beach or any beaches around St. Augustine, the hotels around St. Augustine, extremely dog friendly. And that's one thing I noticed. And one thing that was also nice was there wasn't dog shit everywhere. Neighbors.
So my buddy Kenny that we went to Anna Maria Island with, he used to own a dive shop in St. Augustine.
Very
He
nice.
loved it. He's from Orlando, from Winter Garden. Lived up there for a few years. So every time we go up there, I think we did a road trip up there one year with him, and got his brother's boat, and it was phenomenal. But he knows the city like the back of his hand because he was a local
that's
business
the way
owner.
to do it.
And he's a dog guy, so he has a little doggy that he takes with him everywhere he goes, little Ted, and so I agree with you on the dog friendliness.
Yeah.
Also, the lack of dog poo. Appreciate
Incredible.
that. But when you can go to a city where someone just knows the ins and outs of it, like you come to this side of Orlando and you just know you got to go to Yellow Dog Eats.
Yep.
It takes somebody that that knows this side of town.
I have played tour guide in Orlando for ever since I could drive. Actually, ever since we had friends that had parents that drove us. I'm just like, they're like, "What do you want to eat?" It's like, well, where are we? This option, this option, this option. And this is the same thing with any industry, right? I mean, that's why I got into real estate. I got to know this place. It keeps changing, but I know it. But like, I love St. Augustine. I wish I knew it more. I missed, every fourth grader has a trip to St. Augustine, and I missed that trip. And so I kind of feel a bit left out with that,
Your childhood was robbed from you.
Yeah. So St. Augustine's a great choice.
What's your number two?
My number two is it was St. Augustine.
We can have some overlap.
No, man.
It's not the end of the world.
No, these people need to know. No, we're not doing the overlap. If I'm going to choose a number two that's not St. Augustine, that is also as cool as St. Augustine, we're going to go to Ocala, Devil's Den.
Devil's Den.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about Devil's Den.
It's really cool.
There is a lot of diving in Devil's Den.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Diving, free diving. You have to walk down like 3 or 4 floors of stairs to get into the actual den to do the diving, which is awesome. But the other reason I like it is because right next to it, they have this one guy just bought a quarry and just put all of these exotic flowers and stuff around it with a koi pond at the base. So it's almost as low as Devil's Den, but it's open. And you can walk around it and you can look down and see the bridge. And it's absolutely gorgeous. We went after a hurricane, so the bridge over the koi pond was underwater, and you couldn't see the koi. So I was like, how do you guys feed them? It's like, oh, we just throw food in there and then they show up. And then sure enough, I look down and there's like hundreds of koi fish. It's just like this big and it's beautiful. It is hard to get to. I would say plan in advance because it gets filled up and they're really good about not oversaturating it, which I also appreciated. But it's cool. I don't like the name. You could have picked a better name, but it's really cool. Really cool.
All right, my number one day trip beach from Orlando, St. Pete Beach.
St. Pete.
St. Pete
Very
Beach.
good.
So a couple different things for St. Pete Beach. One, best friend Jeremy, CEO of my company, lives in St. Pete, building a house in St. Pete.
Very nice.
So having a best friend that lives somewhere is always awesome. I've got a couple
That local,
really
right? Like,
yep,
shows you around.
Got a couple really special memories in St. Pete. So it was Lisa and I's 5-year anniversary. We did St. Pete, stayed at a hotel on the beach, really cool experience. Did some like planning for our family and just really cool. I think we actually went back after our anniversary trip and did another trip similar to that vibe where we were doing some annual planning. So 2 different trips with her. We just did Father's Day most recently. So it would have been JJ's second Father's Day
for this place.
So I like
That sounds like
St. Pete
James's
Beach.
second home.
But here's the real deal. When we were there for my 5-year anniversary, we found this pizza spot, and we only found it. We were trying to find like a hole in the wall vibe place,
All right.
but they weren't open yet, and I was starving, and it was like 11, and there was this place called Oak and Stone. It looks like a big chain, and it is a chain to a certain degree.
Like The Hobbit, Oakenstone.
Dude, I don't know Lord of the Rings stuff, but it is phenomenal pizza.
What?
So they have this pizza called the Clucker, and it's just the perfect concoction of everything. In the what 3 or 4 years since we first found it, the Clucker has actually gone downhill. Now you want to go with the meatball and sausage pizza. The quality of the chicken in the Clucker, for whatever reason, isn't as good. But my God, Oak and Stone is
Very
probably
good.
my favorite restaurant on the planet. And so that's what puts St. Pete Beach,
Man.
and that big pink hotel thing.
Yeah.
Right when you get there,
Here's my thing,
that's
man.
just fun.
I love St. Pete Beach, but as soon as I can smell St. Pete, the salt in the air and like, oh, we're almost there. It takes me an hour to get over the bridge where I'm staring at this
It's not
pink
because people
hotel.
are going to the Rays games.
No. Well, and that's another thing. I'm from Orlando, like we don't have a football team. They win championships in football down there. We don't have a hockey team. They win championships in hockey down there. We don't have a baseball team. They win championships in baseball down there. So it's a love-hate. It's like, I'm from Florida and I root for Tampa Bay and Miami, but it's also like I'm from Orlando, so it's like, a little envy.
jealousy.
Little envy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
little
envy.
envy.
I get it.
But I want to switch my number 2, man, because, man, you brought me back. Sarasota, number 2, switching it up. Sarasota. If you can find a private beach and a private
So you're replacing
Devil's Den with Sarasota. Particularly the private beaches. If you can find a friend, like you see, you just had me thinking, it's like the best beach times I've ever had were with locals. You find somebody that has a nice enough house to have their own beach, it is the most magical experience in the entire world. Which brings me to my number one.
Number 1, drum roll, please.
Naples Beach. I don't care if it takes 4 hours to get there. It's incredible. I will wake up at 2:00 in the morning and drive us there
To make it a day
That's
trip.
right. All right. I'll make the trip, the day trip, and the pinnacle. Just watching the sunset down there. It is. It's so beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. There's no other beach that I've been to where in the matter of 10 minutes of walking around in the water with the snorkeling, and that's not like swimming, but just walking around with the snorkel gear, picked up 3 different types of starfish, sea urchins. Like my wife was actually snorkeling probably 10 feet off the water, and 15 feet from her there was a dolphin. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, what the heck is that? But it's a dolphin, and she can't see it because she's too busy picking up starfish. And I'm like,
That happened to us at St. Augustine when we were out on the boat for our bro trip last year. We were out on the boat and just like dolphins, just jumping.
Yeah, it's dope. You got to get on the boat though to get it on the East Coast, right? You get more reef tip sharks.
So Naples is Gulf side?
Gulf side. So you think Miami? You take the Tamiami through the Everglades, bam, you're in Naples.
Got it.
On the West Coast. But it's the southernmost continental beach in Florida. Right? Key West is going to be...
Stretch for a day trip, but I'll give it to you.
Oh, it's so incredible.
Because it sounds phenomenal.
Yep. And then if I sleep over there or if I drive home late, I don't care. It's just so great.
Worth it.
It's so worth it.
Worth it. All right. That's it for today, folks. We
see you at the beach.
Out.